Hey guys, it's Christy and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I thought we would do a fun eyeshadow palette video, so I thought I would look at some of my favorite eyeshadow brands and decide if I could only keep one palette from each brand, which one would I pick. So before we get into it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's get into it. So this video was so hard to do because I love so many different brands. So I think we went into 7 different brands, and the brands that I had multiple palettes from that I know create really wonderful products, I made myself only pick one. So let's just hop right into it. The first one I decided to look at was ColourPop. We know ColourPop releases a ton of palettes in a year, so many, and I have quite a few of them myself. Some of them have really beautiful color stories, but my very favorite has to be That's Taupe. So this is another one that has recently creeped up on me that I've really liked in general. I just love this cool tone, everyday wearable color story that can also get super glam. I just love it, and I love cool tones in general, but recently I've just found myself wanting to wear this palette, and because it is so wearable, because it is so everyday, and that just tends to be what I like, what I reach for, what gets me excited, I decided I would go with That's Taupe. I know there's, I did a video recently if I could only keep one in each category, and it was drugstore edition, and I had chosen one of the large ColourPop palettes, but in this case I'm allowed to keep a bunch of different palettes. It's just that I have to choose between my brands. So That's Taupe is definitely my favorite. So the next one I want to get out of the way is from ABH, and I almost chose Sultry for this one, but I ended up choosing the Norvina palette. Sultry is a beautiful wearable everyday palette, but this one is just kind of unique to my collection, and it has so many options, and these purpley tones in here are so beautiful, but you can just do so much with this palette. This palette still makes me feel so fun and inspired and excited about makeup. I love this palette so much. I knew I really wanted it when it first came out, and I couldn't necessarily figure out why. I mean, obviously it's pretty, but I'm not somebody who wears a ton of color. But once I got it and I started playing with it, and I've played with it so much that I now understand why I wanted it so badly, it just made me feel so inspired. And the shades are so easy to work with. They're so blendable. I have loved every look I've created with this one, so this was such a good purchase for me, and I would absolutely keep this one if I could only keep one from the brand. Okay, next up is Urban Decay, and this is what made the decision to pass on Sultry a little easier because I went with Naked Reloaded. And while they're not exact shade for shade dupes, they're pretty close. This is just a good, solid Naked palette. It's so solid. And let me just pull out Sultry really quickly to show you. They're not identical, but they're close enough. They're close enough. So if I had to give up Sultry, I would be okay because I have Naked Reloaded. And I was looking between the Honey palette, which I really like, Naked Wild West, which is also one I really enjoy, but this one is the easiest to use. It's the most versatile, everyday, goes with everything kind of palette. Honey is very warm tone. Naked Wild West definitely leans more into that cool tone grunginess. This one's just neutral and pretty. I really like this one. This one definitely has some more cool tones in here, but it's just perfect for everything. So for my next brand, we went with Natasha Denona. And this one I thought was going to be really easy because I recently did a video, makeup favorites that have been dethroned, and I mentioned that the Mini Biba has bested the glam palette for my favorite Natasha Denona palette. And that's still true. However, if I could only keep one from the brand, I'm probably not going to choose to just keep a 5 pan. So I pulled out my Metropolis. I love Metropolis. I do. This is such a fun palette, and look how many shades you get. Because if I can only keep one, I want as many shades from that brand as possible. This is my favorite eyeshadow brand. So I need to be able to keep as many as possible. I like that you have a lot of those browns that I love, some golds, some more of these champagne pinks. I would miss that shimmer in the middle of Mini Biba, but I'm sure I would recover. And then you have some greens in here as well. This is just a beautiful, beautiful palette. The range, the shades, it's perfect. I could get over the loss of Mini Biba as long as I had this one. I could even get over the loss of the Glam palette if I had this one. This one's beautiful. Next, I wanted to look at Charlotte Tilbury. So I have quite a few Charlotte Tilbury quads. I don't want to say I have a lot, but I have quite a few. And I do have one of her larger 12 pans. So that's the one I chose to go with. That is the Smoky Eyes Are Forever. Again, her quads, you only get 4 shades. They're super expensive. This, also super expensive, but obviously I have a lot more range, a lot more options, and I can pretty much duplicate a lot of the looks from her quads with this palette. So I would definitely choose this one. I love that I get more range. I really love the formula of her shadows as well. So I would pick this one for Charlotte Tilbury. Okay, so a newer palette to my collection, I decided to look at Patrick Ta. So I was looking at the Major Dimension palette and the Major Dimension 2 Rose palette, and I decided to go with the Rose palette. So I recently uploaded my review of this one, and this palette really impressed me. This is a beautiful, beautiful palette. The shimmers in Patrick Ta palettes tend to be very unique in texture from a lot of other brands. The mattes are fabulous, but the texture of those shimmers is very unique and they perform so well. But what pushed this one ahead of the first one that he released is that this one here is a bit of a duochrome. This one is a duochrome for sure, and that just makes it really unique. And I think rose tones can be so flattering, so I had to choose this one as my top spot. And then finally, I looked at Huda Beauty. So Huda Beauty is an interesting brand because the large palettes that she releases tend to be absolutely fabulous. The 9 pans that she releases, you kind of don't know what you're going to get. So I knew I wasn't going to choose one of those. So it came down to Rose Quartz or Mercury Retrograde, and I chose Mercury Retrograde. So if you have seen my channel before, you may be aware that I really, really love Rose Quartz, and I raved about it at the end of 2021 as one of the best of the year, and I still think so. But Mercury Retrograde though, I would use all of these. The blues, a little less likely, but all of these are just so easy and so springy and so easy to wear. They make me feel so excited. I love that I do get some browns in here to play with and some pinks, but I can really go spicy with some purples as well. I just love this one, whereas Rose Quartz has that weird balm shade. I hate those. But this does not have that, so it's not a waste. And then that one's also just very pink, whereas this one I can really choose, you know, if I want to go more brown, I can do that. If I want to go more purple, I can do that too. If I want to be bold and go with the blue, I can do that too. So this just gave me more options, and so for that reason I had to pick this one. And that is it for me today. Thank you so very much for watching. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload at least 3 new videos every single week. And that's it for me today. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!